Drop day number 6. Is it 6? It's 6. April 5th, we will have 5 of the banginest beers to bless the material plane with a stokedness contained therein that is so attenuated that stokedness can only be achieved here on drop day. So get stoked. Get stoked about the Walrus is Paul Hazy IPA. Get stoked about Basso West Coast IPA, Unified Field Theory Double IPA, Glam Life Rice Lager, and the Dubularity Bottle Conditioned Belgian Double. All very, very tasty. Come on down, figure out why I made this mess. We'll see you there. I think the first time I ever heard the word stoked was the Sweater song. I was maybe 12. Not only does that song still slap, I still say so stoked that way. You know about the party after the show? Oh man, it's gonna be the best. So stoked. That's definitely where it worked its way into my brain. I know that not everybody was a speech and debate kid, but I was, and as such, I still walk through life picking up these little verbal bits and turns of phrase, and I just work them into how I talk. Most of that just comes from things Shane or Buck say, but sometimes it's the 2003 Stanley Tucci classic, The Core, or it's BioShock, or Adore Delano. With the word stoked, I not only remember the first time I heard it used in its current context, but I remember where I was when we decided to name a beer Stoked. I remember exactly when, where, and who I was with. As we all know, in 1966, Paul died in a car accident and was replaced by the band by a young lookalike named Billy Shears, sometimes referred to as Fake Paul or simply Fall. This was a calculated move on the part of the band, their manager, and MI6, who really just appreciated the distraction that was Beatlemania. The band then retired from public performance and entered what they called their studio years. They acceded to this deception, they agreed to it, but the guilt ate them up and they started to litter all of their music with allusions to Paul's death. John even sang the line, "Here's another clue for you all, the walrus is Paul," the walrus being the obvious allusion to the Scandinavian god of death. At this point, the question isn't who is Paul. We know that. It's been decades. Paul's been Paul longer than Paul was Paul, and Paul's definitely been Paul longer than Billy was Billy. The question really ought to be, what is Paul? A man from Liverpool? Or an idea? Or an IPA with Centennial and Pacific Jade hops. Smells like jasmine tea and stone fruit. So picture this. It's 2014. I sold and delivered most of our beer at that time. That means I'm out at bars and restaurants 4 or 5 days a week, and you're just running into the exact same sales reps and other small brewery owners at every single place. So it's very collegial. We're all friends. We try not to get in each other's way while we're pitching people, try and be supportive of each other. One day I'm at Commonwealth in Oakland, RIP to them, and I run into another brewery owner that I'm seeing everywhere all the time. And I go up to him and I say, "Hey man, how's it going?" And he does this weird thing, which I to this day don't fully understand, but I think was a humble brag, where he's just like, oh man, I'm just so busy. We're just selling all of this beer and I don't know how I'm going to get all of it out. It's just such a pain in the ass. And I remember looking at him and I was like, dude, you should be stoked. I felt this in the moment when that happened, and it's only truer today. Making beer is a really tough business. Like, making incredibly good beer that's special and delicious, is exceptionally hard. Selling beer is exceptionally hard, particularly as the big brewers continue to consolidate and there's more and more good local breweries. Getting noticed out in the market is really, really challenging, and let's not even start on extending credit to customers. It's all very, very challenging. If things are going well, you should be stoked. If people want to buy and drink your beer, you should be stoked. My friend Eric Lamb always says we're not saving lives, and while dramatic, that's true. Beer is amazing. I love it so much, but it's a lot of work, and it's not worth beating yourself up over. So naturally, Shane and I immediately named a beer Stoked, because we wanted to remind ourselves that if we're not having fun doing this, we're doing it wrong. The basso profundo is the lowest of the bass vocalists, and traditionally voices the antagonist in opera. A simple reading of that would be the basso is the bad guy. A more erudite observer would see that the basso gives the narrative its texture. Nothing happens without the basso. No growth is realized, no adventure endeavored. The basso is the action to which a story may react. Similarly, this classic West Coast IPA lends the depth and complexity that is the texture of the narrative. Leading with Simcoe, just profound pine needles and grapefruit pith. If you're paying a lot of attention, you'll see the subtlety of the Citra and Comet, which are bringing guava, passion fruit, and a little bit of white peach. The definition of fun changes, though, doesn't it? I was 25 when we started this company, and my personal definition of what's fun compared to when I was 25 is notably different. More story time. I went to Bradley University in Peoria, Illinois for my undergrad degree. And I did that because I'm a speech and debate kid, and Bradley has the winningest speech and debate team in the entire country. It was a logical choice. My second year there, I lived in the speech team party house, and it was so tight. Folks had been living there for almost a decade when I moved in, so we inherited a decade worth of party equipment. We had all these little TVs that we would link up and play music videos on. We had strobe lights, we had smoke machines, just the works for having an awesome party. So the living room of the house had the front door right here, the stairs to upstairs right next to it, and then the door to the kitchen, and then it was all just open over on this side, which means there's really only two ways in and out of the living room. So what you do is you put a fan by the front door facing inward and a fan in the kitchen facing into the living room and turn those on, and then you can fill the whole living room / dance floor waist deep with balloons, and they just stay in there. So now you have this ball pit dance floor that is super tight with a fan at each entrance. So you put a table next to the fan with a giant pile of confetti on it. So anytime you walk in or out of the room, you just grab a handful of confetti and throw it into the fan and shower everyone on the dance floor with confetti. It is so much fun. In the words of my personal hero, Adore Delano, party. This is no longer my definition of fun. As we all know, if you understand everything, you can do anything. The unified field theory, aka the theory of everything, is the holy grail of physics. It's the hypothesized, mythologized grand prize waiting for some bold adventurer at the end of a glorious quest. That's one way to think about it. The flip side is that in the myth of the grail is hidden for a reason. Maybe a bellicose, self-important toddler species like ours isn't ready to understand it all. Maybe what happened in 43 is just what happens when children play with fire. Maybe we should just be happy we only singed the place and didn't burn the whole house down. Maybe, just maybe, we should leave manipulating reality to the adults. This double IPA is made with Simcoe and Sabro. Think tiki vibes, pineapple juice, a little bit of coconut. Trust me, my memories of those parties are so good. But looking at this right now, I'm stressed the fuck out. I made this nightmare of the smallest possible pieces of trash for you, for your entertainment. And I can tell you that the next thing I'm working on will not involve this much vacuuming. Having fun now is different than when I was 18. It was fun then, but doing the same things now feels uncomfortable and, frankly, like trying to be younger than I am. As the kids say, cringe behavior. The same is true of my professional self. When I was 25, I literally could not think of anything that was more fun than making beer and talking to people about it. Anyone who had to deal with me at that time knows that all I wanted to do was evangelize for saisons, and then evangelize for beer freshness and cold chain, and then evangelize for beer as relocalization of manufacturing. I could not think of anything I wanted to spend my time on more than talking to strangers about beer. Now my opinion is a little bit different. I have 2 nieces and 2 nephews, and I love spending time with them. I tell my family that I'm the best CEO babysitter in the world. And beer, for me, is this delicious little treat I get to have on top of taking care of them. And I'm starting to realize what a punisher I was at 25. Like, A bunch of people taking what little time they have away from the responsibilities of the world to enjoy a delicious beer and hang out with their friends. And I'm like, hi, I need you to know about hop oxidation and how the economics of big breweries work. Glamorous life. Dig, if you will, this light lager. Bright, bubbly, brilliant, crystal ball clarity. This beautiful one is as delicate as champagne on the palate, yet confident enough to hold court in a trench coat and high heels. This consistent crowd pleaser is the beer that other beers want to be, and the beer that beer drinkers want to drink. Brewed with jasmine, rice, and laurel hops, this beer does not make the scene, it is the scene. Glamorous life. Could you be the most beautiful beer in the world? Don't get it twisted. I still need you to know about hop oxidation and how the economics of big breweries work. However, life has blessed me with knowledge of things that are more important to me, and it's put beer in a new context for me. Not that my love of beer or the beer industry has dimmed, but more that I understand them as they relate to the rest of my life better. And while that context is new for me, it's baseline for most people. I know. I learned how to not be a hyper-fixated beer nerd. I feel like over the past couple videos, I've been talking about how craft beer is normal now, and how craft beer should be a rhythm player to a life well lived. And it kind of makes me feel like I'm doing a bad job as a brewery mascot. Like, I should be telling you our beer is the best thing in the world, right? Like, I should be a hyper-fixated beer nerd. Let's think about it from another perspective. Beer is not essential. It isn't. Delicious? Yes. Super fun? Yes. But like, if Hen House and every other brewery stopped making beer today, we'd be okay. Less fun, less delicious, missing a part of our evolutionary history and with fewer jobs, but we'd be okay. Because beer is non-essential, there is absolutely no reason to be doing this if we are not super duper stoked about the end product that we're bringing to you. Think about it. Money is a numeric representation of time. You had to spend your time in order to get money, right? Not the time you have right now, but the time from a younger, probably healthier, possibly happier part of your life. And when you come to us and give us money for beer, you're essentially saying, take this younger part of myself because I think the beer that you'll give me for it is worth it. Holy shit. That is the biggest compliment you could possibly give us. Thank you. We take that very, very seriously, and we want to work to live up to that standard, which is a lot of pressure. And there's no reason to assume that pressure if you're not having fun doing it. So we're back here at the same point again. Which is funny, considering I wrote the script to make that point. The Doubularity is a classic bottle-conditioned Belgian double. I know in 2024, doubles are double IPAs, but for a really long time before that, there was a proud Belgian history of monastery brewing in which doubles were the Belgian DUBBEL double. And this is our interpretation of one. It's made entirely with California-grown malts from Admiral. We're super proud of that fact. It has the most delicious caramel, dry baking cocoa, and like a little bit of like raisin prune, dark fruit kind of character going on. Super dry, comes up the palate really quickly, and the whole yeast expression is just phenomenal. I'm super, super proud of this beer. Bottle conditioned, the way the Belgian doubles were meant to. It's phenomenal. But for real though, whether I'm 25 and I can't fit anything in my brain except beer, or I'm 40 and my number one priority is being a good husband and an involved uncle, there's no reason to do anything except make the best possible beer. Like, why bother if we're not super stoked about the end product? This is the stuff I get hyped up on these days. I want you to feel like that when you buy our beer, that you spent your money in the best way possible. I want our team to feel like they spent 8 hours a day making something awesome and delicious that you're going to get stoked about. And I want to feel like I'm creating space for you to do all the awesome shit in your life with a delicious beer right there. So I guess a much shorter version of this video would have just been this. Find the thing you're most stoked about and do it the most. And when your definition of what stokes you the most changes, you don't have to be less stoked about that stuff. You can be stoked that you were stoked about stuff and be stoked about the new stuff as well. But I think the long version is a lot more fun. Want to drink stoked with me? Come to Drop Day. Want to drink something else? Come to Drop Day. I'll be stoked either way.